back bend, but if you've got you can use your block if you want, or you can roll your towel or blanket and just do this little chest opener with the shoulders. So it's just a little chest opener. Now you can always bend or place the feet on the floor with the knees bent, or you can let the legs be long like a Shavasana. It just depends actually on your lower back. That's kind of the key here. It's like if you're feeling tension in the lower back, you might want to have the knees bent, because you still get this chest opener whether the knees are bent or whether the legs are long. So, and yet can adjust it. You can have the tips of the shoulder blades on it, but a lot of what this pose is about is finding that length across the collarbones. And also because we have a tendency to roll forward in our shoulders, this often helps open the shoulders. So you can, I think we'll do a nice little breath practice of really taking a long, slow exhale. And then when you get to the bottom of that exhale, you can press the abdominals in, release the last little bit of breath, take a pause, and then take a slow, long exhale. And when you get to the top of the breath, you can take a pause there. And if it helps you, you can actually count and either have longer exhales, or you can have even exhales and inhales. And anytime you need to do a normal breath, you can do that in between, or you can try to do a continuous breath practice. So, or you can do 2 or 3 of these and then have a couple of normal breaths. So you're just engaging those abdominals when you come down to the exhale, pressing it out, and then slow pausing, and then slowly inhaling it. And in this position, you'll be able to perhaps feel a little bit of your behind your rib cage, and perhaps even in that thoracic between the shoulder blade area. As you inhale, you might be able to feel some movement in that space. And then really letting the arms fall into gravity and lengthen across the hands. Maybe you feel the backs of the arms, maybe the wrists, maybe the ankles on the floor, maybe it's the feet on the floor with the knees bent. So just let whatever's touching the floor soften and widen. Slowly release the breath practice, and for a second you can just bring your feet into standing, and then we'll do a little stretch where we place the hand on the floor, and then you can press into that elbow away from the armpit, and then you can press towards the armpit. A bit of a wrist stretch and a bit of a shoulder stretch, a bit of a tricep stretch. Just because you have that blanket to move the shoulder blade in and out of as you press the elbow. And then take the opposite hand. So I was doing my left arm, take the opposite hand put that down and then press it away from the blanket and then press it towards the blanket. And then because we're here, go ahead and do a Gurudasana arms where you bring the right elbow under the left. And then because you've got the blanket there, you can stretch the arms overhead. And then you can also bring the elbows down. And maybe you get a little mobility in that space between the shoulder blades. And then release that side and bring the left elbow under the right and stretch away. And then you can stretch the elbows down. And then release the arms and then just roll to take the blanket away and come down to lying on your back with your feet bent. Your feet bent. Your knees up to the ceiling, feet on the floor. And then you have the choice to bring the palms down next to your hips or interlocking the fingers under your head. And then you can inhale the knees to the chest, extend up through the heels, exhale, bend the knees to the chest, and then soften the feet on the floor. And again, at any time, if you want to change your arm position, you can, including reaching overhead, thumbs pointing down, really extending through the palms face each other. So whichever arm position serves you today. And you're really pressing through the heels to open up the backs of the knees. And if you need to go, lower than 90, you can do it that way. So we're just trying not to put stress on the back here. This really helps because you're not putting any stress on the lower back. You're really focusing in on those abdominals. And then do 2 more. And then just place the feet on the floor. If you need to release the pelvis, you can press into the feet and shake through the hips. And then again, for the next one, you can have the hands down, hands underneath the head, hands overhead. This is where it's nice. If you want a lot more work, you can put the block between your hands and have the block, you're still holding the block, so it's not on the floor. It gives you a little bit of weight work. And then bend the knees into the chest and press the heels to 90 if you can get it there. Otherwise, you're a little bit lower. But you don't want to press it over 90. You want to just be at 90. And then bend the knees into the chest. Press to 60 degrees. So that's not quite halfway down. It's a little bit above halfway down. And then bring the knees in. Make sure that you're still breathing and not holding your breath. Press it into 30 degrees towards the floor. You can be higher if you need to. And bend the knees into the chest back up to 60 degrees. And bend the knees into the chest up to 90. And then you slowly exhale them down. And then just have a few breaths here in Shavasana before we do a second round going the opposite way. So then holding onto that block, bending in the knees into the chest. We'll start at 30 degrees. Then we'll bend the knees into the chest up to 60 degrees. Then we'll bend the knees into the chest up to 90 degrees. Bend the knees into the chest back to 60. Bend the knees into the chest to 30 degrees. And then slowly bring the legs down and have a couple of breaths breathing into the abdominals, releasing all that. And then roll over to your side and come into, just tuck the toes under and walk the hands forward and just drop the chest to the floor with the sit bones up, stretching through those shoulders. And it also helps soften through the abdominals as well. And then come up to all fours. We'll do a little bit of a vinyasa where we do the cat and the dog tilt and add downward dog and Adho Mukha Virasana. So we'll round the spine to cat, tilt, inhale to dog tilt. So here the sit bones are up to the ceiling so that you can tuck the toes under, come into downward facing dog. And then inhale, coming down and going into big toes together, knees wide. And then inhale, coming up to all four, rounding the spine into cat tilt. Inhale to dog, tuck those toes under, coming into downward facing dog. And then come down and keep the toes tucked, and then just bring the sit bones back, stretching out the toes and the insteps. Couple of breaths here. And then inhale, coming up to all fours, rounding the spine of the cat. Inhale to dog, tucking the toes under to downward facing. And bringing the knees down, going into big toes together, knees wide. And then coming up to all fours. And because I'm on this side, I'm gonna swing my left foot between my hands. And if you want to do that, it's really useful to do poses in the opposite side as opposed to the right leg. So I'm coming up to my fingertips. This is when it's nice to have two blocks under your hands too. But take the left leg and swing it through, and then you've got that foot on the floor, and you got the fingertips here, so you're not putting a lot of weight there. You're trying to bring the weight into that front leg and through the back shin. So it's a little bit of a lunge. Then you'll tuck the back leg under, come into that lunge, and then bring the hands up onto the thigh. And if this feels like enough, you can stay here. Really press through that back heel to lengthen that front thigh. And then if you want to, you can bring the arms up then bring the hands down to the thigh. Drop the back knee. Place the hands down and swing that leg back. And then we'll bring the other leg through. So I just put my fingertips up and swing my right foot between the fingertips. And so you're trying not to put a lot of weight there. And then you're starting to go into the lunge, bringing those, oh no, sorry. First, extend through the back foot. And then bring the hands up. And then if you want to bring the arms up, you can. Into Virabhadrasana 1, and then bring the hands down, drop the back knee down, bring that leg back, and then take a inhale, rounding the spine and cat tilt. Exhale to dog tilt, tuck the toes under, go into a downward facing dog. And then bring the knees down to big toes together, knees wide. And then inhale, coming up again to all fours. And you can bring the hands onto your fingertips and swing that left foot between the hands. Now you'll tuck the toes of the back foot and turn that heel in so that you're really grounding between the 2 feet. And then see if you can slowly take the weight off the hands and allow the upper body to float up into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2 pose. Really using the power between the legs. And then you can look over the front hand. It's always good also to look over the back hand so that you get that space there, and then coming back and looking over the front hand. And then you begin to soften through the torso, bringing the fingertips down, then the back knee down, and then swing that leg back. And you can take an inhale and an exhale into all fours. And then you can bring the fingertips up again, swing the right foot between the hands, going into that lunge, and then extending through the back foot so you turn the heel out and really ground into those legs. And then you slowly float the torso up. And you can look to the front hand, but then you can also look to the back hand and then turn around, look to the front hand. And then bringing those hands, fingertips down, dropping the knee back, bringing the right leg back. Hands down to all fours, rounding the spine to cat. Inhale to dog tilt, tucking the toes into downward facing dog. And then bringing the knees down to big toes together, knees wide. Again, inhale, coming up, bringing the fingertips up so that you can swing the left foot between your hands, and then you lunge. You go into the lunge a little bit before you bring the back foot up, turn the heel in, and this time you're just going to take the left arm onto the left thigh and then rotate that shoulder up into Parsvakonasana, and you can keep the arm down or up and over. This is a real power pose. A lot of strength in the legs here. And then you bring the arm down first, rotate the torso around so you can bring the fingertips down, drop the back knee, and then swing that leg back. And you can take an inhale and exhale with palms down on the mat before we go into the second side. So then you bring fingertips up again to swing that right leg between your hands, and then you tuck the back foot so that you turn the heel in a little bit, and then as you stabilize, you bring the full right forearm on the thigh, and then the arm can stay long or up and over. Really press into those feet. And then you can pivot around, bringing the fingertips down, dropping that back knee, swing the right leg, then inhale, rounding the spine into cat tilt, exhale into dog tilt, tucking those toes into downward facing dog. And then you can bend the knees down, go into big toes together, knees wide. Couple of breaths here. And then on your next inhale, coming back up to all fours. And then you come back up to the fingertips, and you bring that left foot between the blocks, between your hands. Well, if you're using the blocks there, you can put the blocks there. And then you're gonna come through the back toes like in warrior, the first lunge warrior, and then bring that right elbow to the left thigh. Now you can stay there and start the twist, or you can bring the palms into prayer position. And then you can slowly bring the fingertips back down, drop the knee down, swing the leg behind you. You can bring the palms back to the floor with an inhale and an exhale here. And then bringing those fingertips up again, swinging the right foot between the hands. And then you tuck the back toes up to lengthen through that leg. And then the left arm comes around the right thigh, either staying here. So you can stay here with a hand on the hip as well, or you can come into the full twist. Feels kind of good, especially towards the end of the day. It's morning for you, Richard, but still very useful. Bring the hands down, drop the back knee, bring that leg back. So now you're in all fours, and you're going to round into cat tilt. Inhale to dog tilt. Tuck the toes and come into downward facing dog, and stay for a few breaths in downward facing dog. See if you can really work through the front thighs here. And bring your ears between your arms. And then come come on down to big toes together, knees wide, couple of breaths here. And then inhale coming up, and I'll just move my mat a little closer. And we're going to come into, you might want something to sit on. So the possibilities of sitting, we'll do this pose a couple of times, but the possibilities are sitting on a block, cushion, a pillow, or even a folded blanket, you know, like so. And I'm going to turn my back to you just for a minute, just to show the leg part, and then I'll shift sides. So if you're on all fours, you're gonna take, let's see if I can do this right. Oh, I'm gonna have to move the block. I'm gonna take the right leg and bring it over the left. And if I sit on the block, I have to bring the block there. So I might scoot up a little bit. It's always a bit of maneuverability here. So I'm sitting like so. And just give yourself a chance for the hips to open. And you know, it's fine if you need more height to sit comfortably, and the legs may not be so close in. So you have to play with what you have at home to do this pose. And you can start with the hands on the hips just to really ground yourself in the pose. And since my left leg is on top of the right, I'm going to bring my right hand between the shoulder blades and get that front of that right shoulder open, and breathe into that a couple of breaths, and then inhale the left arm up. And if I can get my hands, I can, or if not, I'm just going to stay here for this. We'll do it twice, so. And then release the arms. And to come out of the pose again, you come onto all fours and you lift that back leg up. And now you're in all fours. So for the other side, it'll be lifting the left leg up, bring it behind, and then the block will have to come, or pillow or blanket will have to come here. And then again, it's the left hand comes between here, and you can put your hand on the front to give space in the front of the shoulder. And then you can inhale the right arm up and try to get where you can, but don't worry about it. Don't be distorting the shoulders too much. And then release the arms, and we'll do it a second time. I'll turn around the other way. So this time you can keep using the block or the pillows or whatever you need to sit on, or you can do this sitting on the floor. So we'll go back to all fours, lift the right leg up, bring it behind. Now you can, if you can sit between the feet, you can do that. If you want to sit on the foot, you can do that. So whatever your body is capable of doing. And then again, it'll be the left arm I have the left leg on top, so the left arm comes behind, and then the right arm comes up. And you might be able to get a finger, but it doesn't matter. You can use a belt. You can also just put one hand on the neck and the other one wherever it opens up on the between the shoulder blades or a little bit lower. So the aim is that you don't have to try to distort yourself to grab the hands, like, you know, moving the neck around and doing funky things. And then release the arms. And then again, it's coming forward where you lift that right leg up again. And so now you're in all fours again. And then you lift up the left leg. And you can either sit between the feet, sit on the block, or if you want to sit on that heel, you can sit on that heel. Good massage on the heel. And then it'll be the right hand comes behind. And then inhale the left arm up. And by doing it twice, you might find you get a little bit more range. And then slowly release the arms and the hands. And then just come back on your mat and do just a little bit of cat and dog. To release the back if anything, any kind of tension built up there. And then you can slowly come down into Shavasana, or you can put your feet in a chair, or your feet on a couch, or feet up the wall, whatever setup you have, wherever you are, and come into some form of an inversion. Or an inversion just means that the chest is above the heart, is the pelvis is above the heart, so that the blood flow is reversed. So whatever you decide to do, just begin to slowly close the eyes, soften the breath. And starting with the toes, softening all 10 toes. And then see if you can feel all those bones in the feet, all those metatarsals, all those little bones. See if you can feel all those bones in the feet begin to soften. They have a little more space in them. And your instep begins to soften that arch of the foot. Tops of the feet are softening. The heels soften. The ankles are softening. And you've got, front of the ankle, sides of the ankle, and the back of the ankle. And then the lower leg, the shin, the calf muscle, that whole area softens.
Front of the knee, back of the knee, sides of the knee are softening. Upper thigh, hamstrings, quadriceps are softening. And the thigh socket where the legs meet the pelvis, that whole area softens. And then the front of the pelvis, the sides of the pelvis, the back of the pelvis softens. The whole sacrum is widening as the tailbone softens and lengthens. The rib cage is softening. Front of the rib cage, sides of the rib cage, back of the rib cage. Upper chest, sternum area softens, and the collarbones widen out to the tips of the shoulders. Shoulder blades are softening and moving to the hips, and the space between the shoulder blades widens and softens. So the front, top, sides of the shoulders are all softening. The upper arm, biceps, triceps, deltoids are softening. Inner elbow, point of the elbow softens. And your forearm softens. Your wrist softens. And your hands are soft and the fingers are in that natural curl. Your collarbone notches are softening. Your throat softens. Back of the neck softens and lengthens. Base of the head is softening. Your scalp softens. Your forehead widens and softens. Your temples are softening. Space between the eyebrows widens and softens. Your eyeballs rest into the eye socket. Your cheeks are softening. Your jaw softens. Your lips are softening. And your chin is softening. And your breath is moving in and out of your nostrils. So when you inhale, the warm air comes in, and when you exhale, no, it's the opposite. When you inhale, the cool air comes in. When you exhale, the warm air comes out. I guess it could be cool with the air conditioner. So your whole mind, body is relaxed. And then slowly begin to deepen your breath, bringing a little bit of movement to your hands and feet, stretching the body to roll to your side. And then in your own time, you can slowly come up to sitting. So good thoughts, kind words, and heartfelt actions. Namaste.